What changes have you made to your spending due to inflation, due to gas prices? Have you canceled trips? Are you combining trips? Are you not buying certain things at the store? How is this affecting you on a daily basis? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842 is my number. If you're calling in, be nice to Aaron. He's in for Parker today, so to get to me, you got to get through him. So an inflation report is coming out today, and it's going to provide a fresh gauge of prices as the Iran war ratchets up costs for gasoline, airfares, other expenses, farmers who cannot get fertilizer. It's everything. We are in trouble. Now, economists expect consumer prices to have risen 3.8% in April. With a surge in gasoline costs, that's when it took hold weeks into the war. It would mark a significant acceleration from the 3.3% in the previous month. Now, I don't claim to understand all these economic numbers. I never have, but I know on a day-to-day basis, on the ground here in Wisconsin, we're paying more for everything. So as recently as February, inflation stood at 2.4%, clocking in a tick above the Federal Reserve's target level of 2%. The Middle East conflict has prompted the Iranian closure of the Strait of Hormuz. You know that. That is the trading route where most of the, 20% of the global supply of oil goes through there. It's prompted one of the largest oil shocks ever recorded. While the U.S. is overall an exporter of petroleum, it means the country produces more oil than it consumes. However, the oil prices are set on a global market. U.S. prices move in response to swings in worldwide supply and demand. You know that crude oil is the main ingredient for auto fuel. That's about half of the price paid at the pump, according to Federal U.S. Energy Information Administration. So, according to this, the average gallon of gas yesterday stood at $4.52 a gallon. An increase of $1.54 per gallon since the war began February 28th. That amounts to nearly a 52% price jump in 2.5 months. Within weeks, the jump in prices could spread to groceries, furniture, just about any other item delivered by diesel-fueled trucks and tankers. That's what analysts are telling ABC News. The recent rise in prices has left many consumers feeling stretched, feeling sad, feeling frustrated, feeling lost. May consumer sentiment fell to the lowest level ever recorded, according to a monthly survey conducted by the University of Michigan. That survey's been going on since 1978, and this is the lowest. How are you dealing with it on a daily basis? What changes have come to your house? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Now, consumer spending, which amounts to about two-thirds of U.S. economic activity, could weaken if shoppers remain pessimistic. In theory, a slowdown of spending could slow the economy, and this is going to affect what the Fed does, and we know the president has it in for the Fed. He is not a fan of how slow they're moving. The president, it could be pressure more on the Fed to raise interest rates as a means of dialing back inflation. They have opted to hold interest rates steady at 3 consecutive meetings since the outset of this year. Before that, the Fed cut interest rates a 0.25 straight times. This is rough. And I know for me, it's made a difference in my driving. I have made a concerted effort to try to combine trips. My mom, unfortunately, at this point lives about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. So that is, at this point, my biggest gas consumption. And I do that 1 to 2 times a week. Everything else, like today I have to go to the grocery store. Well, I have 3 stops, but I'm able to get those 3 stops within 1 or 2 blocks of each other. So I'm going out 1 time today, and I am going to try to get all my errands done just to save some gas. And I've also looked at the flyers. I've used my grocery apps. I'm trying to save money there wherever I can, because things that I bought 6 months ago are now $1 or $2 more expensive than they were before. So I am doing my best to do everything, and I know I'm not the only one. 855-75-CIVIC. Cindy is in Appleton. She wants to join the show. Good morning, Cindy.
Well, what I'm concerned about is people who are on a strict budget, like people with Social Security and stuff like
Sure.
that, how that's affecting them. Because I'm just wondering, when the COLA comes around at the beginning of the next year, is it going to reflect what has happened over, the consumer index here to help people? Because I think that's where people are going to really be in trouble if we don't get a cost of living raise that affects or reflects the real cost of living, which is really going to start to hurt people. I mean, it hasn't affected me too much yet, but I'm a school bus driver, and once I don't have bus driving for the summer and I lose that income, then it's going to affect me greatly. So.
Yeah, things are rough, and that's a very good question, Cindy. Thank you for the call. We appreciate it. It's if you're on that fixed income, if you're on your Social Security or whatever, and you see these prices going up, 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 there's really not much you can do. You can hope for a cost of living increase, but we see how the president feels about Social Security and all the other programs that are meant to be a safety net and meant to help people. And Social Security, you've been paying in your entire life, so it is not a safety. It's a safety net, but it's your money. We see his disdain for those policies. So I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for that cost of living raise, but it is a big deal. Zammers, you're a young man. I know you work in radio, so you're probably rolling in the dough. You've got you got more money than you can spend. Are you making any changes?
Yeah, I definitely am skewing more towards non-perishables and buying in large quantities. I mean, I had a Costco membership before, but sometimes I stuck with the convenience of shopping close and just buying stuff when I need it. I've been trying to plan ahead a lot more and buy, a stupid big container of rice, buy a ton of chicken and freeze it, things like that. And also not going out as much. Not that I did a lot anyway, but stuff like that mostly is what I've been doing.
Yeah, the social stuff it's the first that most of us cut, but it's the one that we kind of still need. And need is a strange term, but you know what I mean. And I'm not talking about going out every day or every weekend and doing big extravagant things, but just to get a break, we all need those, we all need to go out. And that doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money, but even now driving somewhere, if you just want to go somewhere and hike, you got to pay for gas, and then maybe one meal, but you got to get some snacks for the road, right? But so there's always places we have to cut. And you're funny when you said about the chicken and stuff. I watch, and when you really start following grocery store cycles, you can kind of tell when things are going to come back on sale. So I'm always watching, and when chicken breast goes on sale, they usually have a limit of 10 pounds. I go in, I buy those 10 pounds, I put them in the freezer. Ground beef goes on sale, I buy the limit, and then I put it in the freezer. And now, all of a sudden, you've got the freezer stocked with stuff. When you break it down, you go, oh, okay, this is a reasonable price over the time, and per meal, you're getting a lot of meals in the freezer, and you're ready to go. And I know, you said you did it, Zammers. We're not the only ones. People are trying to find any way to make sure that they can save just a few bucks. How are you saving? 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. I know, you put off big purchases, you put off non-essential purchases. But if you're a business person, if you're in the trucking industry or you're dependent on things being delivered to you by truck, you might get a little of that tariff money back today, but you're also going to be paying more because now the firms that are bringing you your merchandise are going to have to charge more because their diesel fuel costs more. So once again, we're back in that cycle where if I'm business A and all of a sudden I have to pay more to get my product, well, I either can take a beating or I have to pass that cost on to the consumer. So once again, we are caught in that lurch. We're not getting tariff money back. We're going to end up paying more because of what's happening with the oil prices and the diesel fuel prices and everything else. And if you are a farmer, you're waiting for your even if and I read a report that a lot of farmers had pre-ordered and paid for their fertilizer before the prices went up. Well, that's fine, but now they're having trouble getting it because the fertilizer can't get through the straits. So you tried to make a money-saving move there, and you're still getting screwed over because you're not getting your fertilizer. And it's just bad. Now, I think we will all be waiting with bated breath to see how this report when it comes out, if it is as disheartening as some of the numbers point to, how it is spun by the administration. Will we be gaslit again to tell us, no, you're overreacting. Things are not expensive. The minute the strait opens, gas prices will plummet, which we all know based on economics or economists and experts from around the globe are saying, no, it doesn't work that way. Even when the straits are open, it could take up to a year to get things back to where they were before this war started. So, if you can believe what they're selling you, I don't know how you can also go to the store and pay higher prices and go to the pump and pay higher prices and not notice that. Because all you have to do is look at your bottom line. Are you paying more for everything? Yes. Are you having to make changes? Some of us are. I know people who have changed plans. We were talking to Jamie last week for this trip she's on. They were jumping through all kinds of hoops to find an airfare that was even remotely reasonable. And granted, it was a last-minute thing, but she had to go, she was going to Rochester, then to Minneapolis, then all over. People are having to make changes, having to make sacrifices. And I know that's part of life, is making changes and sacrifices. But it's not supposed to be this hard, where you have to decide on, do I drive to work, so I have to pay my money in gas, or do I buy food? And, do we have to eat just ramen or mac and cheese or cereal for every meal? Or can we afford to buy some chicken when it's on sale or some hamburger when it's on sale? Or does that have to go to gas too? And that vacation we were going to go on for the summer, or maybe that travel baseball trip we were going to take, that's not looking like it's going to happen, because between gas prices and hotel prices and grocery prices and restaurant prices, you don't have any options. It's going to be a rough summer and a rough few weeks for a lot of us. So, plan accordingly, and we'll see what happens today when that report comes out, how it is spun and how it is responded to.